Okay, what we're going to do next is graph expansionary fiscal policy. I know some of you are having a little bit of difficulty with this, so we're going to review this graphing expansionary fiscal policy. Now, when we do this, again, the purpose of a fiscal policy is to increase aggregate demand, and the components of aggregate demand again are C plus IG plus G plus XN. And we will do that, create an expansionary fiscal policy by increasing government spending or decreasing taxes. The increasing government spending obviously affects G. The lowering of taxes, decreasing taxes, increases consumption. So two graphs that are going to be needed for this. Uh, Oops, that's a pretty bad line here. Let's redo that one. The two graphs that are going to be needed are an aggregate demand and supply graph. And you can also use an aggregate expenditures graph. You don't necessarily have to, but it's a nice touch. So I need two graphs, and that's pretty, lame axis. The aggregate expenditures graph is the one that has the 45-degree line. So again, this is an aggregate expenditures graph. Over here will be an aggregate demand, aggregate supply graph. And here on the aggregate expenditures graph, that is your vertical or y-axis. Here it is real GDP and employment. And we would plot actual aggregate expenditures, which again are C plus IG plus G plus XN. Where they intersect the 45-degree line is the equilibrium, and that is our current level of output. If we're pursuing an expansionary fiscal policy, it's because we need to increase output and employment. So obviously we are at less than full employment. So we know that full employment then has to be to the right on this graph. And so we need to intersect that 45-degree line somewhere up there. And that is the purpose. And so by increasing government spending, we're going to boost G. By decreasing taxes, we're going to boost C. And let me just switch colors here quick. So by doing that, we increase our aggregate expenditures. I'm still learning how to use this pen, so please bear with me. But again, we are increasing consumption, increasing government spending, and we reach our desired target. So that's what you would use an aggregate expenditures graph for, to show the impact that fiscal policy will have on those components. Let me go back to yellow here for a second. With an aggregate demand and aggregate supply, here is our short run aggregate supply. Here is our aggregate demand. Here is our equilibrium output. And this is our price level, because again, this axis is price level. Here, again, here we have real GDP and employment on this axis. Again, since we are not at full employment, the long run aggregate supply curve has to be to the right. So full employment has to be here. Here is our long run aggregate supply. The goal of, again, of increasing these components will then increase aggregate demand, shifting it to the right. And when it does that, we reach our target. And so aggregate demand shifts to the right. And now we have a new equilibrium that is at that level of full employment. And so that is the purpose of expansionary fiscal policy, to push the aggregate demand curve to the level of full employment. So I hope this little exercise helps review.